Hi, I'm Kushal. I was a student of the PDP Personalized Preparation Program in the Director's Batch at Erudite Kolkata. When I first got my CAT scores, I decided to find an appropriate institute where I can prepare for my personal interviews and writing ability tests. And that's when I came across Erudite on Quora and a number of other places that had very good reviews about the program there. So I came here and I got the opportunity to meet Kaushik sir himself, who would go on to teach us and guide us during our PI prep program. The way Kaushik sir explained the program and how they bring out the best in their candidates, how they approach questioning their candidates, how they help candidates build the narrative around their lives up to that point in a way that business schools like to see, is something that really motivated me right from that very first instance. Not only did Kaushik sir take almost an hour just to talk to me about Erudite's procedures, we also learned, I was also invited to take the first class, and during that class itself it became very clear just how structured the Erudite process is, and just how deeply the Erudite program planned to drill down upon each candidate's life up to that point. So the Erudite preparation process is pretty unique. Unlike many of my peers in many of the other institutes who provide similar services, we spent nearly a month just working on the introduce yourself question. It's at the time we weren't very confident about why we were doing this, but by the time we realized what was happening when we were trying to talk to ourselves about who we were and what we had done until that point, we eventually ended up finding the best versions of ourselves through that question. And we were guided there continuously by Kaushik sir himself, who at every point would ask us the correct questions that allowed us to walk towards the answers themselves. It's not that Kaushik sir ever gave us a single answer. That's not how he works. On the other hand, by the time we were near the end of our preparation for that question, we ourselves developed a very good ear for what does and does not sound good, what should and should not be portrayed, and how to portray the experiences of our lives up to that point in a strong way. And we not just learned from Kaushik sir, we also had a very talented cohort along with us, from whom we bounced off a lot of ideas. I learned as much from myself and from Kaushik sir as I did from my batchmates at Erudite, who themselves right now are in the greatest business schools in India. And it's something we all agree that the experiences that we had at Erudite at that point would go on to serve us in life well beyond just the interview itself, even in placements, even in other kinds of interviews, in how to conduct ourselves in our lives with other people in the sphere of business. And this is something that is an invaluable contribution of Erudite, and one that we all really appreciate. The GDPI prep in Erudite is also pretty different. This is because not only are they teaching us about how to approach topics, whether in GDs or WATs, and they do a brilliant job of that. They have very good frameworks which breaks down every question into smaller parts that allow you to form a compelling narrative. But even more important than that, the GD and WAT prep program at Erudite also gave us a certain degree of training in body language, diction, speech. It's equally as important as what you are saying is how you are saying it, and how much your interviewer feels that you will be someone a company will be proud to have as a senior level manager someday. and the way you conduct yourself is a very important part of that. Body language is such an important part of that, and Erudite really took care of that part by specifically showing us how different body language looks, and training us in the best processes, best practices of maintaining good body language. And that I feel is a very important intangible part of Erudite's GT and WBT process. When we started out building our SOPs, it was well after we had finished the introduce yourself question. At that point, we were very well equipped already to handle the SOP questions, because by that point Kaushik sir had already brought us to a level where we were able to answer the questions about our own lives, and we were able to tell very well what does and does not work in an SOP. This allowed us to largely form our SOPs on our own, but at the same time, anytime we got stuck, we could always go back to Kaushik sir, and Kaushik sir always managed to ask that one most important question that would get us back on track and allow us to keep writing our essays in a way that continues to form a compelling, strong narrative. And every interaction was extremely personalized. Every person had a very unique story. No two people in our Erudite batch had stories which could be considered at all similar. And that's because people don't generally have very similar lives to begin with. Every person's experiences are unique, and Kaushik sir is someone who really appreciates that and believes that that is something one must bring out rather than try to hide. And every person's unique experiences go on to be an important part of their SOP and of their introductions. And we feel that that played a very important part in how our interviewers went on to perceive us during our own interviews. My own SOPs, my own other points have been brought up many times in interviews, and to be honest, many of my interviewers were extremely impressed with the way we had portrayed ourselves in our applications as well, which carried forward to how we were treated during our interviews. I wholeheartedly recommend Erudite. I am reminded of the old fable that talks about teaching a man to fish rather than just giving him a fish, and we feel that Erudite really did that for us. It allowed us to think on our own, it allowed us to develop narratives on our own, and it allowed us to truly drill down upon what is most important about ourselves and learn to identify it for ours, and learn to identify it independently. This is something, as I said in the past, this is something that goes far beyond just your IIM interviews. It's something that will go on to serve you greatly in life. I am extremely happy with my experience at Erudite, and I totally recommend it to anybody else who chooses to pursue this program.